Welcome to Session Zero. I'm Josh Strife, and this is the conclusion of the epic saga of the Valash vampiric horde, where we finally see if the party are able to save the NPCs they've been working with and take down the vampiric warlord Valash. As always, here are our players.
I am Callum Upton, playing Mullac Drab, the human bard. I've now got a little trinket, and I'm ready to use it to my advantage.
I'm Rage, and I'm playing a human barbarian called Rage. And my mentor, who I have grown deeply connected to, is currently 1v1ing with a vampire lord. So no pressure, tally-o, folks.
Hi, I'm Billie, and I'm playing Yemmara Trixx. And I'm really excited to see if we can get out of this alive, or if anyone can stay alive for the rest of this episode, please.
The party's individual journeys, wants, and desires have ultimately led them to the monastery of the Sunrise to the north, to a showdown with the vampiric lord Valash. Unfortunately, an incredibly powerful vampiric fighter, faster than them, stronger than them, and in many ways in this area specifically smarter than them. Outclassed in every way, the only advantage they've got is Valash's own arrogance. He has decided to set up his headquarters for his vampiric invasion in the Monastery of the Sunrise, which was many years ago used as a prison for vampires. He's done it to prove that he can. Unfortunately, this arrogance may be his downfall. The NPCs we've been traveling with so far, Sir Francis Pumpernickle III, a lawful good vigilant fighter just to make sure everyone's okay and happy and always doing the right thing, is currently locked in one-on-one combat in a locked room with Valash. He is outclassed, and unless the party can act quickly, he will die. With them as well is a brand new priest of the Sunrise, Brother Nathaniel. Originally going on a pilgrimage to one of these smaller churches locally, the church he was originally meant to visit was destroyed, and so he has now chosen to visit the monastery. In order to complete his pilgrimage, all he has to do is get to the font in the central room, which is also where they are trying to get Valash, as that room itself is a prison. Having left the room behind you with Francis and Valash locked in mortal combat inside of it, you don't know the layout of the monastery. Mullac, what's the plan?
We know their weakness, weaknesses, and I think we're going to have to try and get all of those nailed down, and then try to finish them off somehow.
What do we do first?
Well, what's on the list?
Water, noise, sun, sigils.
Yes.
We don't even know where we are.
Let's find a map.
Brother Nathaniel, where can we find a map in a place like this?
Nathaniel is still pretty much shaking and not quite sure what to do, and he really needs someone to bring him back and focus his mind on what he's doing right now.
I'm going to slap him.
The library. The library will contain all the blueprints and all the manuscript. Any books that still survive. We'll be able to find maps and locations and layouts there. And that will show us where all of the 4 things we need to do, where they are kept, and what we can do. Will that work?
That's perfect.
Have I helped?
Now, where are they?
The library? Normally it's held to the north. All these things are laid out in the same way, so we need to go... Which way's north? I don't know which way north is.
Does this work?
Roll a d20.
6.
Can I help her by
You realise that after having Yemmara blow on your finger, you go, this is north! And point toward a corridor that you think might be north.
That way.
That's great if the wind's blowing north. Do we know if the wind's blowing north?
You don't, but I think Rage is already running that way.
Yes.
Rage is running to the north. You think. It's down corridors, it's around bends, it's up some staircases and down some other staircases. This monastery is expansive with lots of rooms and wings hanging off the side. And one of the strangest things you notice about it is the doors are all at really odd angles. The walls themselves are built strange. This is not built at 90 degrees. It's not built square. It's not even built at diagonals or curves or corners. It's almost a super strangely laid out building with random angles for all the walls and random angles for all of the doors. And as you run past, you look in and you see that some of the rooms are filled of those tiny skittering vampires that you saw earlier, but they are too weak to do anything specifically. Maybe Valash is keeping them weak on purpose just so he can lord it over them. Maybe the fact that he's in this prison is as important to him as just weakening his own horde for the time being. But as you run down, you do encounter a couple of the larger vampires, the ones with wings, and these guys aren't as weak. And you run past and you run past and you run past, and eventually 2 of them step out in front of you. And you can see from the doorway where one of them stepped out, books and scrolls piled up in what looks like a rather messy, rundown library. But standing between you and the library, 2 taller vampires with wings and claws on the end of where their arms would be. Everyone roll a d20.
Yee. 7.
17.
Nice.
Yemmara, you realize what's happening first, and you can almost attack them before they realize you're even here.
Okay, I don't want to set anything on fire. I want to read the things. I'm actually gonna, can I use my action to actually duck out of the way? And I'm gonna ask if you will whack-a-mole, essentially, on what's in front of me.
So you're almost assisting.
Yeah, I want to assist your turn.
Are you trying to duck under or
I'm
through
gonna
these
just-
2 vampires
I'm just gonna
into...
duck down so that she can swipe at them in the doorway.
Do you want to almost distract them, like running forward and going, hey, and then ducking down?
Sure.
You run forward, you see them. They both look at you. They're confused that you're here for a second. It takes them a second to register.
Hello.
And as soon as you say that, they're startled. And as soon as you've said hello, you duck. And you are replaced by a giant swinging hammer. Roll the d20 with advantage because of the distraction.
Try again.
20.
Roll again. Just
16.
You say hello and duck down, then a hammer just cracks both of them on the jaws really hard, snapping both of their heads to the side. They aren't weakened enough yet to completely die. However, their heads have been snapped to the side, the bones shattered inside the necks, and they are unable to move and look forward. So instead, they simply start to stumble around within this corridor itself.
Can I test something?
Sure.
The little dragon bones that I've got,
Mhm.
can I see whether they can basically be like a stake
You can try.
to their heart? So yeah, I'd like to, after the hammer swing, reach down in my pocket and pull out like two bones.
Did you take shards long enough to stake a vampire through the heart?
I think they were like this big.
Okay.
They're all different sizes, but yeah. Yeah, so I pulled out the two longest ones I find, well, one long one I find, and just I want to like stab it where a heart would be.
Because these things are just wandering around now with their heads entirely snapped off to the side effectively, it's super easy to aim and push in. It just about goes an inch into the skin, but then splinters off, unfortunately, as it's not sharp enough to go all the way into vampiric skin.
Okay.
Mullac.
I decide to run down the corridor, kind of boost off your back as like a little launch pad, and just I'm going for a rapier down into the top of the head of the left one.
Okay. Roll a d20.
That'll be an 11. It's 12.
Better than you expected.
Yeah.
The boost. Were you ready for the boost?
No.
Okay. Unfortunately, you weren't ready for the boost, so please roll again, and we will have to use the lowest.
It's a 1.
Oh, God. Oh, I'm sorry.
You weren't ready for the boost. You weren't warned this was a plan that was going to happen. So instead, what happens is you smack these vampires with your hammer and simply stand there looking quite impressed with yourself. Stab one with a bit of dragon bone. It doesn't work, and you're looking at it. And the next thing you feel is a knee in your back, kind of knocking you forward slightly. Not painfully, just knocking you forward. You turn and look around, and you see Mullac Drab pretty much just laid out on the floor. You attempted to jump high enough to get a foot onto Rage's shoulder, but weren't quite able to make the full jump. So instead, just flying kneed her in the back, knocking yourself onto the floor.
Fantastic.
Francis even walks over to you. I have to say, old chap. No, not Francis, because he's still fighting the actual dude. Can you imagine? Nathan walks over to you. I have to say, it normally helps if you tell the other person your plan before you specifically do your plan.
It was a bit of a last-minute plan, to be honest.
Oh, okay, right. Well, these two don't
Sorry.
seem like they're going to be much trouble, but I've got an idea. May I?
Sure.
He walks forward and places one hand each on a face of each of the vampires, and then focuses, closes his eyes, and clenches his fists. Light, brighter than any you've seen him make before, bursts forth from his hands, and heat almost hits you. And as you're able to open your eyes again and focus, both of his hands are charred red, and his skin is raw, but not cracked and not black. He's hurt himself again, But where there were 2 vampire heads previously, there is now nothing. The necks simply end at a line of ash, and they slump to the floor. Nathan shakes his hand off. The thing is, when you join the priesthood, you can do it. You just shouldn't. And the better you get at it, the more you can do without it hurting as much. And that really hurt.
You're doing great, buddy.
That was so cool.
There's a lot of energy and a lot of power, and I can use as much as I want to, but it really hurts. He's just gripping his own hands to his chest again, waiting for them to heal up. You've dodged into the library.
Yeah, I'm just going to like step over them. Very good.
Mhm.
And I'm going to just look for the first bookcase I see. Is it alphabetically? Is it
It's
the Dewey
messed
Decimal
up.
System?
The-
Like, what's
the-
going on in this library?
The vampires have messed this up. There are books scattered around the place. There are pages torn around. There are scrolls strewn everywhere. There's various things open, closed. But you do notice a couple of larger, almost blueprint-style things of the actual monastery itself on the floor.
Oh, perfect. Exactly what we were looking for. I kind of
Convenient.
like dust off anything else that's on top of them just to see if it is actually what we were looking for.
It's a perfect map of the monastery. You're even able to knock off a couple of old books from a table and lay it out flat on the table, and everyone can gather around and have a look.
Okay, cool. I'm going to put like some old candles and stuff on the edges so it doesn't roll up.
Mhm.
And I'm going to try and work out where we are on the map to find the "You Are Here" sign.
Roll a d20.
20.
Whoa.
Amazingly, a lot of the rooms are in fact labelled. One of them is labelled library, and it's the only one labelled library, and you can see where you are. But the strangest thing is the layout of this monastery. It's wrong. Nothing should be built like this. It's completely strange. The walls and the doors are at strange positions and strange relationships to each other, and no architect would ever build this unless they were very specifically trying to build this shape.
So does it look like a symbol?
It does when certain doors are closed
Okay.
and others are open, as the doors themselves are made of oak, with iron beams running along the top. And by closing certain ones and opening certain others, connections of iron rods throughout the entire monastery itself effectively create a huge 3D web of sigils at various levels, all focusing on the central room, effectively trapping whatever is in there from ever getting out.
How many doors can I see is it that needs to be opened or closed
You've
to
probably
make
got
this symbol
about
happen?
20 or 30 to double check. But what you do notice is that over by the doors themselves in the rooms, there are tiny scratches above them of either flat or angled or circles, and you realize they represent the exact position the door needs to be at to complete the monastery-sized sigil.
Okay. I'm going to relay this to them in the simplest way possible. And just, I'm going to also try and figure out on the map if I can, like not crosswords, but those games that you play to like try and get out the other end
Yep.
with your line. I'm going to do that with the map. And see if I can find like the quickest route that we need to run through all of these to open or close the doors.
Every single one takes you a while, but Nathaniel's able to see what you're doing and actually point out some mistakes and say, hey, do this because of this shortcut and do this because I know this door is always locked.
I'm
And
gonna,
that's
like,
actually a fake
smack
wall.
his hand when he like tries to like touch it.
Sorry,
Stop touching.
sorry. That's a fake wall. That's not actually there. That's a bookshelf. And
You're
that
right,
door is
but-
always locked. He just gives you advice about the best way to get around this monastery. And while that is happening, Mullac, you're exploring the rest of the library. Anything you'd like to look for?
Are there any books that stand out to me? Or,
Yes.
or any treasures within those books?
Roll a d20.
18.
You notice a couple of books on what effectively will be the head librarian's desk. And you go over and you realize that the edging of them isn't stacks of pages. It's effectively a bit of wood that's been painted to look like stacks of pages.
A faux book.
And when you open it, inside, there was a very old bottle of whiskey, stacked within the carved out pages.
That's perfect.
It is very old and as of yet, unopened.
I take it.
It is yours. It is whiskey from about 300 or 400 years ago. Has
Fantastic.
important religious overtones and will be very valuable to the right person.
Brilliant.
Nathaniel is still shaking his hands off, still not entirely sure how he can help anymore, but you realize how the sigil works. Rage.
I think I know what we need to do. If we need to hurry.
We do need to hurry. I don't know how long Francis can stand there for.
Nathaniel can do the sun, right? He can do light with his hands. You can do the tone.
I can.
But if you go up to the bell tower and chime the bell, you can mimic it, bringing the tone down with us.
You would likely need the bell itself ringing for the reverberation. You can mimic it well on your flute, but you cannot recreate the exact resonance it would make.
I can sort the bell out.
And Nathaniel, well, his pilgrimage is to go to the font. So he should go to the font.
Do the
I can
water.
bodyguard him.
Yeah, it sounds like a plan to me.
And you have the sigils.
How do we... The bell tower. How do we get up there? What if you can't get through? Then what are you going to do?
I'll sort that when it comes to it. I've got a plan.
I think we have to hurry up.
Yeah.
We have to split up. He hasn't got much time left.
No. We need to do this for Francis.
For Francis.
For Francis.
For Francis. Oh.
Ha.
Za.
Huzzah.
Go on. One more time. Go.
Huzzah.
Okay.
Okay.
Come with me, Nathaniel.
You pretty much grab him by the hood and just drag him off wherever you want him to go to again. He turns around. Right, what's the plan?
Font. Water?
Pilgrimage.
Yes.
Excellent.
Let's go.
He scurries off with you, happy as he can be.
Follow.
Mullac, what's your plan?
I run back and I'm like, where's the stairs?
Don't worry,
for
I'm coming with you.
the
I'm not
bell?
letting you go alone. So I just start leading him towards the bell
You
tower.
have pretty much memorized the blueprints by now, as you are
Okay.
very quick at
I rip it up
absorbing
and throw it
information.
behind me.
Yep, you don't need this anymore, and you simply run off, sprinting off with Mullac Drab. You know the fastest way to get to the bell tower, and you know there is only one way up and one way down. It is likely a large wooden spiral staircase in the bell tower itself.
Okay, great. Just lead you to the bell tower.
Mhm.
And just
You
go straight to the bell
sprint.
tower.
You turn left, you turn right, and you manage to avoid almost all of the vampiric guards by the time that you get there. You know the exact route to take, and when you see someone, you know the alternate route to take to avoid them. So you manage to avoid the vast majority of fights to get there, and then you step inside, and you look up, and the stairs are all rotten. They are falling apart, and they are broken. There is no way you would be able to climb this set of spiral stairs without falling through. And the bell at the top is a good 70 or 80 meters above you.
How high is the platform?
That the bell is on specifically,
Like where's the next
far
set
higher.
of steps?
there is none. It is effectively a
none at all.
huge, big tower itself. The bell is far, far above you, and there is no manual ringing mechanism. You need someone up there to ring the bell, and whoever goes up there is going to have a hard time getting down.
Right. So we can't get up to the bell, but we can bring the bell down to us.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Might not
Great
work if
minds.
you can't ring the bell specifically.
Oh, it'll ring when it hits the ground. Sound like a plan?
What's it attached? How is it sat in the tower?
Huge metal beams at the very, very top connecting to the stone and rock infrastructure of the tower itself.
Okay.
Metal beams made of iron, again, to specifically be as anti-vampire as it could be.
let's do-
While you two are discovering and working out exactly how you're going to either get up to or get the bell down, Rage.
So this is probably inappropriate time, but how old is Nathaniel?
He's about 19.
Oh my gosh.
He's brand new and fresh to the priesthood. He isn't quite sure what to do with it. He's never really been out of anywhere. This is the most adventure he's ever had in his entire life, and he is both scared and terrified and exhilarated and excited all at the same time, and he just wants to help, even if it really hurts.
I feel the same way, Nathaniel. It's my first time out as well. If I went back home, my mum would be really annoyed at me.
Okay. We don't have a lot of time. What do you need me to do?
We're going to try and find the font. I thought that's where you were going.
Oh, I was following you.
No, you ran first.
No, you pulled me through the doorway.
You zipped.
What?
Yes.
Okay, right. Think where I'm going. I know where I'm going. He runs down the corridor.
Okay, I follow.
You follow him. Finally, you burst into the central room. The central room is grand. There is a large font in the center, made of carved and ornate marble with iron rods running up and through it, with a very thin stream of water constantly running up and down the side of it. You look up above you. Copper pipes cross along the ceiling within various sigils themselves, and you can hear running water. Not as high pressure as it was at once, because there is now a broken pipe effectively in the basement, but the water is still there. And around the side of the room, you can see brilliant, brilliant windows, all ornate, all carved, and all effectively covered in sticky black ichor, dripping down. Ink or oil. Something is covering them and preventing almost any sunlight getting in or around them. You can still see, because of the stained glass windows around the side, but the specialist built prison windows, the ones that would amplify a light into the center, effectively onto the font itself, nothing is coming through there.
Hey, Nathaniel, you know those windows?
Yeah.
Do you think they're flammable?
I don't know. We can find out.
I think, yeah, we can try and burn the...
We can try.
Do it.
How? What do I do? Okay, I can do this. I can do this. He walks over and holds his hand up. The actual bottom of the window is slightly taller than he can reach, but he
Can I lift
focuses.
it up?
Yeah, roll a d20.
13.
You don't even realize that you're picking him up, and he just lifts straight up off the floor. He looks down, smiles and laughs, and then touches his finger to the oil. And as it does, his finger recoils and hurts even more, and the oil has not been set on fire. He looks, no, whatever that is evil. Nothing is coming in or going through that at all. Okay, we need sunlight. What do? We need a lot of sunlight. Okay, what else do we need? We need the bell. We need the sunlight. We need, what else do we need? We need the sigils.
Sigils and sound.
And we need the sound. And the water.
And
The water. What can we do?
Well,
What can we do?
the water's here in the font.
It's not enough. Not enough. We need more. There's pipes.
We could break the pipes.
They're not sigils. They're just really bad plumbing. So, yes, we can break those.
Okay,
How?
by smashing them.
Yeah, but they're at least 10, 20 meters above us. How do we get up? Roll the d20 to throw Nathaniel.
You know when a DM gives inspiration?
It's a 1, isn't it?
No, it's a 3. It's a 3.
Roll it again.
Yes. It's a 2.
Oh my god.
Do you want to do this?
No.
Okay, good. I will let
I'd
you
rather
not
throw myself.
I will
than
let you
throw
not
little kid.
do that. Do you want to attempt to throw the hammer?
I would like to, because it's only 20 feet and I'm like 6'5", it's not that tall. So I'd like to try and clamber up as much as I can.
Okay.
Up on the wall.
It's going to take you a while to do that because you rolled low. Knowing that, it will take time away from being able to get to Francis. I'm not saying Francis will die. I'm saying he will be less likely to survive this fight. Do you want to do that?
If we don't do that, then what do we do?
Make a decision quickly.
I want to, yeah.
You
I'll
need
do
a
it.
way to get to the ceiling. Think this through, Rage.
Need a way to get to the ceiling. But I can't climb the walls.
You can't.
Mr. Millipede, I need you.
The ground starts to shake more than you expect it to. And then, out of a hole in the corner of the room that's been boarded over with weak boards, mandibles and teeth chew through, feet flail up from, and a huge insect crawls into the room right up to you and stops in front of you. Tell it what you need, quickly.
Okay, go up, go by the pull the copper bars.
It understands what you need and starts to scurry up the side, slipping on some of the oil that's on the actual windows itself and deciding not to climb that, but instead climbing the rest of it. It scurries up over the top, and as it goes, it simply wraps its teeth around a load of the bars and bites through. Water begins to rain down from the ceiling into the room you're in. It scurries down the other side and back through the hole that it came out of originally, and a torrent of water is now pouring in a lovely sheen straight from the pipes down onto the floor. Nathaniel simply looks up. That is enough water. That will work. Now we need somewhere to get to the top of the bell tower. Mullac, Yemmara, what's the plan?
I think I'm going to try and inspire you to potentially fireball down the bell into the main room, solving both the light problem.
The bell is not necessarily above the main room itself, which means if you were to drop the bell from the bell tower, you would need to find a way to either move it to the main room or ring it somewhere loud enough the main room would hear it.
It's okay. So, you said you were okay at jumping before.
Yeah,
We could try again.
I'm down for that. Let's.
How good's your rhythm?
How good's my rhythm?
Yeah.
Not great.
Would you consider yourself a swinger?
Well, it. Sure. Yes.
Well, we're about to find out. I'm gonna wait for you to get ready to jump, and we're gonna do a missile
Okay.
Mullac
I
up to the
I get
bell
into like
tower.
a T pose and start doing squats ready for the jump. And then I'm good. Let's do it.
How are you going to project him all the way up to the top?
He's gonna do the jump thing, and I'm gonna mind thrust him at the top of his jump to just try and send him to within, or like to be able to grab onto the bell, the actual bell itself.
Okay,
I jump.
roll a d20.
Please. That's a 3.
Roll a d20.
14.
You can throw Mullac effectively up to the very top, but you will land painfully on your ankles, hurting them, and you will not be able to get down.
I think it's the sacrifice we need to make here.
You okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
Mullac jumps, and Yemmara, describe the magical energy you're using to effectively fling him up to the top.
Okay. Again, I'm really enjoying using verbal cues for you guys today. So as you jump, I'm just gonna say ring the bell.
You are flung up several meters into the sky, and you just about manage to grab on to a metal ledge. You cut your arm slightly on the edge of it because it's sharp, but you pull yourself up. You're standing there. There is a massive bell in front of you, a huge brass bell supported by an iron structure which goes into the stones of the actual tower itself, and you don't really have a way to ring it.
Is there anything around me heavy that I could possibly use?
Not that you can see right now. Rage. You are standing there with Nathaniel still. You've effectively got the water. The sunlight has to come from somewhere because the windows are unfortunately going to be no use to you right now. You've been closing doors as you've been going. The sigil is being worked on constantly as you go around, and you've even had the little symbols explained to you on the doorways. But you still need to find a way to ring the bell, and you still need to find a way to get Valash himself to the central room for all this to work.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Sticky ichor. That's annoying. It doesn't burn. Nathaniel, how else would we get rid of the ichor on the window?
I don't know if we do. I don't know if that's something that we have the time to deal with right now, to be honest. I think the regular sunlight that we have is going to be enough.
Okay. I think we should go get. I think we should go get the vampire guy.
Okay. Right. It
think-
takes a second to remember where he's from. I know how to get to that room. And he begins to run. Do you run with him?
Yeah.
You follow him. And as you run down, you hear the sound of a battle. You hear the sound of swords on steel, of people being thrown around the room, of books falling over the place, and the gentle sound of, "Good Lord! My God, no, that really hurt. Oh, you're a lot stronger than you look, I have to say." The door is locked in front of you, but you have to find a way to get into it.
I can barge it.
Roll a d20.
Before I do that, can I enter a state of rage?
Yes,
Brilliant. That's a 12.
it's enough. You run in and you shoulder barge the door. The latch flies straight off. The hinges bend themselves slightly as you smash your way in. The room has had all of the books and the bookshelves knocked down. There are piles of blood on the floor and around the place. There's bits of bent silver armor scattered around. there's a mace being held in the very bloodied, beaten hand of a man with grey hair and a fantastic curly moustache, lying on the floor with a buckler in his other hand, still grinning and still trying to make little quips as he places his shield on the floor and stands up again. Valash looks absolutely the same. No blows have been landed on him that have done any damage, but Francis Pumpernickle III is still alive and still fighting him. The problem is, as soon as Valash sees you, he runs over to you, pulls back his hand, and throws in the most powerful sideways slash against you that he can.
Do I have time to react?
Yes.
I'd like to dodge.
Are you sure? Because Francis is looking at you and expecting.
No.
What do you do?
I remember the first thing that Francis taught me on the boat when we had time to mess about, when there was nothing to worry about.
You step forward toward Valash and almost grin as you place your hand under his shoulder where you've been shown, on the side of his neck, and as Valash's expression changes very slightly, you're able to quickly spin your own body and fling him, using his own strength, which was far more than he expected, straight across the room and smash into a wall, hard enough to take some bricks out of it. And Valash is almost taking a second to work out what the hell just happened. Francis stands up, walks over to you. That was bloody good. Right, let's go now. And then runs out the room.
Okay, I run with Nathaniel, make sure that Nathaniel is in front of us, because without Nathaniel, we can't do much. So
you sprint out of the room as fast as you can. Are you heading back down
to the
toward
font room.
the main room and the font room? You run. Francis is effectively behind you, bringing up the rear, just about limping his way. And you can just hear every time he goes, God, I need new legs and new arms and a new body.
Can I just pick him up and run with him?
Roll a d20.
8.
8. You can place your arm around him and help him, but his armor is quite heavy right now.
Okay.
But you do assist him at getting back to the main room. You run into the main room. The water is still pouring down. The sun is starting to set, which means you are running out of sunlight. You don't let the sun rise anymore, and as soon as night happens, even the residual sunlight coming in from the windows on the side is not going to be enough. But you've been shutting doors as you go, and by the time you run in, you almost see Nathaniel stop and go, that's it. I can feel it. That's it. That's worked. The sigils are in place. It's a hum. It's a strange reverberation. It's sound again to a different level. It's a different degree. It's a cage. And he smiles, and you can feel that it is slightly different in this room. It is slightly more oppressive in a good way. Whatever vampiric essence is in here is going to have to fight against the resonance of the iron cage you have built within the entire monastery to get out. Combined with the water pouring from the ceiling, that's definitely going to weaken them.
So once he steps in, he can't get back out.
Provided he steps into the right place, yes.
Where?
Right in front of the font. It's the only place.
Can I go towards the font and stand there? And I want to, while I'm raging, I just want to attempt to intimidate this Valash guy.
Valash has not entered the room yet.
But he'd be able to hear me.
He will be able to hear you from the room if you shout loud enough toward him, yes.
I'd like to do that.
What would you like to say? Do you want to take a moment to think about what you'd like to say?
Yeah.
While you're thinking of what to say to effectively pull Valash into the room to fight you, you're still standing out looking at the bell itself. You have very little to ring it with.
Yeah, how would this normally be rung?
Normally, you'd be able to walk up the stairs with a large hammer and effectively hit the bell and ring it with it.
I see. Yeah.
Hmm.
You can still talk to Yemmara, who's on the floor.
Yeah, I was just about to shout up to you. What's going on up there?
I've got nothing to ring it with.
What do you mean you've got nothing to ring it with?
I'm gonna need a hammer of sorts or something big to hit it with.
We haven't got anything.
Yeah, that's the issue.
As you are discussing the problems, you hear a voice from behind you. Gotta say, chaps, really expected better of you from this. Thought you'd at least gone prepared. Mullac!
Yeah.
Francis throws his mace as high as he can up to you. Don't lose it! It's my favourite mace. It's covered in a lot of blood.
I can see, yes. Thank you.
Excellent. Right. We'll give you a signal for when we need to ring. I think the signal is ring the bell.
Perfect, that works.
Right. Don't not ring the bell. That will throw the whole plan into jeopardy.
Yes, it would.
Right. Don't lose the mace.
Got it.
Fantastic. Right. I'll see you later. He turns around and walks out.
I'll come back. Just
Yep, leave
do the
me.
thing.
I will do the thing.
Okay, I just follow behind Francis.
Francis, Pumpernickle, and yourself run back to the main room. In the main room, Brother Nathaniel is on his knees, worshipping at the font of water that he has effectively been sent to talk about, completing his pilgrimage as a priest of the sunrise, and finally understanding exactly what he might need to do to be able to help everyone around the world, the skills and powers that he can have and the journeys that he can go on in the future. Rage is standing in front of the font where she needs Valash to be, ready to say something intimidating and powerful and bring him in, using his arrogance against him for having this entire monastery as his headquarters. Mullac, you're standing up in the bell tower,
I am.
ready, with a mace, ready to ring this bell as and when you need to.
Ready for the signal.
And Yemmara, you have also headed back to the main room along with everyone else. The water pouring from the ceiling, the pipes themselves all smashed up. Rage.
Before I do this, can I say something quickly to Nathaniel?
Sure.
Nathaniel,
Yes?
if this goes wrong and I'm screwed, just make sure to keep out the way.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No problem at all.
Okay.
But it's not going to go wrong. I've got a plan.
What's the plan?
Oh, don't worry. It's going to be a good plan.
Okay. Okay.
He stands up, shakes himself off, and you see an almost resolute courage that he's not shown before. And he feels okay with this. His pilgrimage has changed something inside him, and he's ready to help you.
Ready?
What do you want to say to make Valash come and fight you?
I want to channel some inner bad memories inside of me to try and get the tone of voice that I need to. Wimpy vampire boy, are you trying to impress Daddy? You'll never amount to anything, you pathetic little thing. Why don't you come over here and show us exactly what you're made of? Or are you too slow and old and bad?
As soon as you start that speech, you see Valash walk into the room from the door. He seems almost amused by it, until you call him slow. As soon as you call him slow, the next thing you know, he is directly in front of you, standing right there. He hasn't thought. He hasn't planned any of this through. He just knows that he's not slow. He's powerful. He's tough. He's one of the better vampire lords, even though everyone looks down on him. He's built his entire headquarters inside a monastery designed as a prison for his kind. He has conquered the exact anti-technology designed to stop him, and he is standing directly in front of you because he knows you've only got 3 of the 4 things that is going to actually hurt him now. You've got the water, as he's pushed himself through it. And you've got the sigils because he can feel their energy pulsating around him. And you've probably got the bell tower. He knows that as well. But the sun's gone down, and he's not worried. So he simply stands right up next to you and says, right, go on then. Do your thing. I'll give you a shot.
You are stupid. You are weak. You are arrogant and pathetic.
Before you have finished talking, he simply brings a hand up into an uppercut into your stomach, catching you off guard and knocking you, flying off the font back toward the back of the room. You've thrown clear and you smash into the wall just below the ichor-covered windows and fall down to the floor. He's punched you, and it's not a problem. He's in a little bit of pain because he's standing in the middle of exactly where he shouldn't be. But he's tougher than you, and he's stronger than you, and he can do this. So as soon as he turns round, he's face to face with Francis, who simply brings up his buckler and just boops him on the nose gently. Just a little grin. Shouts, "Tally-ho, old chap. Go on then, punch me. See if you can." Being tempted to do it, Valash punches Francis as hard as he can, sending him flying backwards, which Francis has angled perfectly to fly back into the bell tower where you are. You hear him smash onto the floor, and just before he falls unconscious, ring the bell!
I, with 2 hands, get the mace and just absolutely wail on the bell.
The bell starts ringing and reverberating, and you can see Valash start to actually contort slightly, fighting against everything that's hurting him right now. He opens his eyes and he looks over to you. Go on then. What have you got?
I'm actually going to cast a illusion, a minor illusion, a replica of himself, basically, but like a really weak, pathetic version right in front of him, so that he's just going to be focused on literally that to taunt him. That's
Roll a
what I'm gonna
d20.
do. 3.
It's enough, believe it or not, because of everything else that's happened. And he's simply staring at a weakened version of himself, and he is angry. He is incredibly annoyed.
You hear little noises behind him.
And he can hear everything around him. He can hear the reverberation of the bell pulsing through his head. He can feel the water starting to sting through his actual skin. And he can feel all of the metal crushing him in as the cage holds him in. And as he does that, he focuses on himself. He realizes he's okay. And then he feels a hand on his shoulder. And he turns around and looks. And Nathaniel is smiling. And on the other hand, he's holding a little origami phoenix. And he places his hand on the other shoulder of Valash. And with his smile and a glance over toward you, he simply says, I can be a phoenix. His hands start to glow, his arms, his shoulders, his stomach, his body. He turns white. The room gets hotter. You can't even look into the center of it anymore as a brilliant flash of white light, pure energy explodes from where he was, and then where he was is nothing but ash. Valash and Brother Nathaniel are both utterly obliterated in a brilliant flash of sunlight.
Oh no.
The only thing that survives is a small paper origami phoenix on top of the pile of ash.
And give it back to you. I'm really sorry. He was brave after all.
He was so cool.
I wouldn't go that far, but okay.
On the bright side, he completed his pilgrimage.
And he saved hundreds of people.
Stumbling through the door, Francis, in his armor, dripping, beaten, and bloodied, simply looks around. The bright light, so brilliant, white, and burning that shadows have been burned into the central room itself, and some of the copper piping in the ceiling has been scorched by it, but you all strangely remain unharmed. Francis looks around and notices the lack of Nathaniel. Guess we won then, in a way. Not always the best way that you want to win, but tally-ho.
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 What else is in this room?
Well, I don't know if it's important, but I found this. Francis pulls out a silver chalice with the name Mary engraved on it. It's in the library. Knocked it off a table when I was fighting the old chap, don't you know? He seemed rather fond of it, and couldn't help but take something he seemed fond of.
That's Captain Liam's daughter's.
He passes it over to you.
Yes! Oh. With the phoenix in one hand and the chalice in the other, I realized that I have mementos of 2 people that I've made really good friends with along the way on this journey. This is
It's okay.
It's not the way we wanted it to end, but it has ended.
The ichor on the windows is gone. The sunlight, what's left of it before the sun finally sets, begins to stream through beautifully. The font is lovely when lit and illuminated, and the rest of the vampiric horde, especially any that are in this monastery, will easily be obliterated, along with Valash. You took a journey because you wanted to find something valuable, and you've definitely found an incredibly rare and powerful arrowhead that can stab through pretty much anything so far.
You wanted to see that you could go it alone, and you can, but there will be sacrifices along the way, and people who have to go on their own journeys as well. And you wanted to find out more about your history. Now, the library is still open, and there is an extensive history on magic, sorceresses, and dragons in general. Combined with the dragon bones that are underneath the monastery and the connected mineshafts to it, there will definitely be something leading you to wherever your heritage may take you. But you realize that taking down a low vampire lord took the lives of 2 people that you cared about. And if you want to keep finding valuable things and proving to your parents that you can adventure and finding out who you actually are, it's going to be a good idea to stick together.
Agreed.
Agreed.
How did you get down from the tower, by the way? I just have to ask.
Oh, I just kind of fell, you know. It's much easier on the way up than on the way down.
It's actually quite deceptive.
Yeah. Taller than it looks.
Having taken a journey from Phoenix Nest across the ocean and having defeated a giant squid, fought through the village of Sailor's Rest and saved as many people as you can while taking down one of the traitors in your midst, a human that would have happily worked with the vampires, traveling through the underground tunnels and befriending a giant millipede, which then helped you take down a vampiric lord, I think you can look at each other and say that you have finally found your party, and now it is time to venture forth.
Huzzah!